Hello, welcome back, my favorite movement enthusiast, to today's episode of Your Health is My Priority. And today is going to be all about getting rid of back pain, rehabilitating our back, increasing our range of motion in our back musculature, as well as going through injury prevention. And there is the reason why back pain is known as the great equalizer. In fact, it is so prevalent that I wrote a song about it, and anyone who's ever had back pain will definitely be able to relate with it. To rehabilitate our back as well as prevent injury, we will have to address at least two major points. One, our flexibility, and two, our control over the musculature as well as the strength of our musculature. Which means, for one, we'll have to strengthen the neural connections to our back musculature so we can activate them at will whenever we need to, and we will have to work on our range of motion as well as strengthening them in conjunction with the surrounding musculature so we can stay healthy, loose, and limber. So if you're ready, let's get right into it. Now, since one of the major problems with having back pain is that we can't get into specific positions, all of the exercises we're going to be doing today will be easy to access because we're either on all four, laying on our stomach, or laying on our back to make all of these exercises way more accessible. Now, we will start with mobility, and there will be two major exercises that are going to help you change your life when it comes to your back mobility as well as activating the back musculature and increasing its range of motion. One will be the switch between cat-cow, which is getting into spinal extension, and switching into spinal flexion. Now, when we go into extension, we're basically flexing every single muscle in our back. That is why we're turning our hands outwards, so we have even more activation in our latissimus as well, and we're pushing down with our stomach and pulling our head back. Now we go into flexion, we're doing the exact opposite. We are lengthening our shoulders and we are flexing the antagonist, our abdominal musculature, to lengthen our back and pull it into this long circular motion. So we're switching between extension and flexion, and over time your range of motion in this position is going to get longer and longer and longer. Now, the second absolutely effective exercise switch will be between sitting back all the way, once again lengthening our back, and we're even stretching our glutes and our spinal erectors, and for here we're gonna move forward with a rounded back through spinal flexion because we want to switch again from the flexion phase into the extension right here. Now, keep in mind that we're not just hanging loose, but we're actively driving our pelvis down towards the ground to activate all the musculature in our back that is necessary for spinal extension, meaning our glutes, our spinal erectors, and the top of our thoracic as well as our shoulder musculature is pushing us deeper and deeper into extension. Now, you can even lengthen your shoulders to push further down for even more extension, and from here, once again, we're gonna use the flexion phase to round our back, lengthen all those muscles once more before we move backwards. So you're gonna notice at the very front of the exercise, the back musculature is as short as we can get it, and when moving backwards, our back musculature is as long as we can stretch it. So now we have a switch between activating the musculature as well as stretching it out, which is going to increase our range of motion as well as our activation ability for these muscles. Now, since our back musculature is intrinsically connected to our abdominal musculature because they are antagonists, we will have to work through a combination of both, and one of the best things you can do is work on your balance on all four, which means that if we start here, we're going to extend one leg and extend the opposite arm. Now, this is going to force us to activate our entire core musculature, and from here start to work on our stabilizations. So the tiniest bits of movements will be adjusted by our core musculature, including, of course, our back. We're gonna hold for 5 to 10 seconds, and we're gonna switch to the other side. Complete extension, lengthen your shoulders, hold for 5 to 10, and switch to the other side. Now, of course, we can increase the intensity of this exercise if we're not getting enough balancing or stabilization from this. We're gonna get on our toes, elevate our knees from the ground, extend our leg, and extend our arm. And now you're gonna notice you require a lot more core engagement as well as back musculature engagement to hold us here from falling down. And of course, we're gonna repeat this on the other side. Complete extension in your arm, hold, and I'm already starting to feel it. And take a short break before you go on to the next round. So now it's time to switch starting positions, lay down on our stomach, and we're mostly going to be working on our extension as well as activation, which means that we're gonna lay down all the way and we wanna elevate our chest by flexing our back musculature. So we don't want to use our arms at all. We want to leave them very relaxed. The focus of this exercise should be that without using your hands, you should be at the very least able to raise your chest from the ground before you get down all the way again. Now we want to hold these exercises statically for 3 to 5 seconds with a full contraction in our spinal musculature before we relax once more. You can also bring your hands behind your back. Hold for 3 to 5 and then slowly move back down once more. Now to add the rest of our back musculature in a little bit of a more dynamic way, we will start once again by raising our chest, extending our arms, and this time we're going to stay statically up with our chest, and all we need to do is pull our elbows in to activate our traps and pull our lats all the way together. Now we're going through scapular adduction here as well as abduction and elevation by pulling our scapula all the way forward. Now our shoulder blades work a lot with our back musculature and our spinal musculature, so having them included when we work on the back itself is very important. Completely depress your scapula and pull them together, keep your chest up, and then pull them apart and lengthen all the way. And it's not going to take long for you to feel it in your back as well as feel how you are building strength over time. Which moves us to the next exercise, adding even more of our back and shoulder musculature to the mix through longer ranges of motion as well as asymmetrical movement patterns. So once again, we're going to start by raising our chest, extending our arms, and now we're gonna move asymmetrically through rotations. One arm moves behind our back and the other one moves to the front to our face, and go through the same rotations with both arms. Keep your chest up, keep your back fully flexed, and work the rotator cuffs with your scapula, with your spinal erectors, as well as the rest of your spinal musculature. Now for our final exercise here, before we switch starting positions, we're once again going to extend our arms, keep your hands on the ground, and now we want to start elevating our chest as well as our abdominals with our pelvis fully in contact with the ground, which means depending on how far you can go into extension, you can move closer and closer with your hands, upper body fully upright. Once you notice that your hips start leaving the ground, you're already too far and you might have to move forward again. Very important here that all your back musculature is actively flexed. We don't want to stay fully relaxed in your back. This is going to even increase our chances of injury, because if you push too much into that extension without having your musculature flexed, you might be pushing yourself too far into a position where you can be injured directly. So keep those muscles fully flexed and start working closer and closer and closer. And then slowly reverse the movement. And once your arms are fully extended in the front, now you can lay down. Now, between all of the exercises that we do on our stomach, we will always switch into a lengthened position for the muscles we have been strengthening now, which means we need to sit back all the way, lengthen our glutes, lengthen our spinal erectors, lengthen all the way here by rounding and flexing our spine before we move back into the starting position once more. Now we can switch positions, lay down on our back, and we're gonna start by bringing both our hands right there underneath the small of our back and push our butt all the way down on the ground. Now we're already in the tiniest spinal extension right here. And what we want to do is elevate our chest, push it up, elevate our head without our shoulder blades leaving the ground, activating our abdominals, holding for 5 to 10 seconds before we release. Take 1 or 2 deep breaths and then move upward again. Now you have to keep in mind that activating and working on our abdominal musculature is just as important as working directly on our back musculature, especially if we suffer from injury and pain, and going through short ranges of motion in a very controlled and active manner is going to help us not only avoid pain, but get rid of it as well. Keep your shoulder blades down, elevate your chest, flex your abs, and release. Which moves us to the back widow exercise, in which we will have to open our arms at shoulder height, keep our back in full contact with the ground, and from here we're gonna pull our elbows as well as our shoulder blades together, forcing us to raise our chest and raise our upper back from the ground and flex our abdominals to round our spine completely before we move outwards with our elbows once more. Now this is a very low impact exercise that works on your entire back musculature and includes a lot of core strength or abdominal strength as well. Open up all the way, relax completely, and the range of motion is not very long, but the activation is absolutely insane with this exercise. So now that we've worked on our mobility, our ability to switch between flexion and extension in longer and longer ranges of motion, and we have worked on our strength as well as our control to activate these muscles, now we're gonna go through 1 or 2 stretches, and we'll be using, for the change, a little bit more of static stretching, because this exercise in particular feels absolutely amazing and helps us lengthen every single muscle in our back musculature, as well as go through spinal rotation from the very bottom of our spine all the way up to our head. We're gonna start with our right foot on the ground, our left foot on our right knee, our right hand on the left knee, and we're gonna bring both those legs to the right side while turning our left arm and head to the right side. Now this will force us into complete spinal rotation from our coccyx, moving up our lumbar spine, thoracic spine, and even to our neck by turning our head to the side. We're going to be holding these stretches for 30 seconds. What's really important with this one though is that you have to keep both shoulders in complete contact with the ground so you don't start cheating yourself out of flexibility. Meaning the more you want to push your knees downwards, the more your shoulder is going to raise if you do not have the necessary mobility for this complete spinal rotation. So what's more important is keeping both those shoulders down here, and over time you will be able to bring both knees closer and closer until they're in complete contact with the ground. Now you can already see the complete rotation in our entire spine, as well as lengthening and rotating our spinal erectors, stretching all these muscles before we once again move to the other side. Hold for 30 seconds, and then we're gonna pull both legs in and do the tiniest of rotations in our hips, which is going to release a little bit of that tension. And there you have it, my friends. Not only are all of these exercises very accessible, even if you're already injured and even if you're already struggling with back pain, there should be no problem into at the very least getting into these positions and work at your own pace. Listen to your own body. If you're getting too much pain, then step the workout back a little bit. If you don't feel any pain, then of course you can increase the intensity over time. But not just accessibility, the exercises are also pretty great for rehabilitating as well as preventing injury. And they're also very effective in supplementing your other training. You don't have to have back pain to work on your back health. You can work on injury prevention. And if you do that and you are, for instance, lifting heavy like deadlifts, or you're doing heavy squats, this will help you immensely in keeping yourself from getting injured or getting injured any further. But once again, sadly, that's all the time we have left for you today. However, if you like the video and subscribe, and please check out other videos on this channel because we literally have new ones every single day. So until tomorrow, Captain Cairo, peace out.